edit it out.
Whatever.
I promise.
Go for it. I'm recording. I don't care. You're stupid. Hey, ready?
Coca-Cola's gonna sue us.
ASMR.
What is up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of VGRx, your weekly dose of video game. I don't want to say news. We'll say insight. How's that sound?
No,
we'll try.
We just talk about video games.
Okay. Well, yeah, we just talk about video
we're
games.
workshopping our
Yeah,
catchphrase.
we're still working it all together.
We'll come up with something.
I am Scott, as always. We have over to my right Zach.
What's up, guys?
We have Dan over on the bed.
Hell yeah.
And we have this dirty digital download gamer Brittin.
What's up, everybody?
What a piece
Dirty
of
digital
garbage.
download daddy.
I'm,
Only way to go.
I'm looking at a Switch right now, not a single game in the case. It's all just his Switch. What a piece
Isn't it
of
beautiful?
garbage.
Do you have
I don't even know why I have
Do you
the
have
case.
a physical game?
No.
Why do you
Yeah.
even have
I do.
that?
What's the game that's in the slot?
Yes,
Zelda.
of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
day
I
one.
just
Just keep it in.
Wait, why'd you... Oh, because you couldn't download it.
I need to have something in that empty slot.
What if, like,
Save me
the-
some space
what
on
if-
the
Yeah, you
SD
don't want
card.
to...
What if like the chemicals in the cartridge like make the cartridge like melt and they get
That's-
stuck
That
in
would
there?
suck.
that would suck,
Because-
but I don't think that's
They taste like
Thank
garbage,
goodness.
okay? They don't... They're not,
they
they're not
taste
gonna...
like earwax.
Yeah,
Not
oh,
that I
that's what
would
it is.
know, but like
You guys want to do a taste test live on the
definitely.
podcast?
Yeah, do you have one?
Zach, have you ever tasted a Switch
I'm
cartridge?
not gonna do it. You try and get me to do,
Do
this
it
the first
with yours,
time.
though. Do it with yours, though.
You
I
have,
have, it's
you have a
gross.
Coke.
You don't want to
You
have
are
a
a
cartridge.
bad dad.
All right.
Oh,
So
look at
that.
anyway,
Bad dad.
today we're not talking about the Switch, at least not for the moment. We
That's
probably have
fine,
some things
that's
to talk
fine.
about in a little bit. We found ourselves getting in a very
Heated.
discussion. Heated is maybe the
Lively,
wrong word, but
rousing.
lively and rousing discussion about something that's been in the news lately. Loot
I just said we don't
boxes.
talk about the news anymore.
We can talk about
Look,
the news.
we're getting off track.
And today we are talking about the news.
This is also
So-
a broad industry topic that
Right.
merits a lot of discussion.
So
Yeah.
loot boxes. Let's talk about loot boxes for a little bit. So loot boxes have existed in some form or another for a while now, right?
That's true.
You have Overwatch is probably the one that popularized the loot box
Preach,
concept
preach,
in
preach.
mainstream gaming. But
You're
I mean,
wrong. CSGO. What are you talking about?
Okay.
CSGO. Yeah, CSGO's
Yeah.
been doing
I
loot
am,
boxes
like,
forever.
wholly unaware of CS:GO, but you're right. It was CS:GO.
Yeah.
But before that, I mean, you have mobile games that pull pay-to-win stuff all the time,
Yeah,
right?
but,
and-
mobile stuff. Yeah.
But mobile stuff, it's almost a completely different scene. I mean, it's
I don't even consider
it's
mobile
different.
gaming.
So. You
I don't.
You should, but a different sort of gaming.
Why are you playing Pocket Camp?
No.
What's
Shut
that one that's blown up? Pet Crossing or Animal Crossing?
It's Pocket Camp. That's
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, is
so
that what it's
okay,
called?
That's
my,
Animal
my
Crossing.
bad on the Overwatch call. Anyway,
Yeah. Come on.
so you have CS:GO, and then you have Overwatch kind of following up CS:GO, and now you've been seeing loot boxes come out in so many different games. You
Yeah.
know, from League of Legends has some loot box mechanics in it. You have the one we're going to be talking about here, Star Wars,
oh yeah,
Battlefront 2. You've also got what's the Shadow of Mordor sequel?
Shadow of War.
the
Shadow
one that
of War.
didn't do as well is what I've been hearing.
Right.
Because it has to do with all buying loot boxes just to finish
Is
the
it?
game.
I
And
haven't
I'm
looked
sure that
anything
there are
into it.
other games that
Assassin's
are completely
Creed
does
is
Assassin's Creed
another
now have loot boxes?
egregious example. Yeah,
Of
big
loot
time.
boxes?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Really?
pay to win stuff essentially,
Really?
which falls in the same
So
territory.
okay, so first off, I wanna talk about the pay to win aspect that we're talking here
Dan,
because
do you
there
want
are
a stool?
no, I'm good. There are different sorts of loot boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Overwatch style loot box, and
Cosmetic.
I get the
All
impression
cosmetics.
CS:GO is this way too.
No.
No?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it is all
It's
cosmetic.
all
So it's all
cosmetic.
cosmetic, right? So however you get your loot boxes, when you open it, it doesn't change how good you are at the game in any way. It doesn't change how effective you are
So
at
if you
anything. It's
suck,
literally
you
just,
suck.
hey, check
How
it
it should
out.
be.
Here, have this thing that looks cool, and hopefully it's on a champ that you play, or on a character you play, or in the case of CS:GO, with a gun that you like to use, or
It's
whatever.
it's same with League, same with Dota. It's all just cosmetic stuff.
League is a slightly different situation, and that one's actually more complicated than you would think to talk about. So let's talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
Are you trying to structure a podcast?
No,
What is this?
I know for a while
So-
that back in the day, like some skins actually like changed just by like
Well,
pixels
it's
of abilities.
it's more than that actually.
Oh. Well,
But
sorry, I don't
we'll
want
talk.
to.
We'll talk about League in a little
No,
bit.
I get it.
Um,
You're the head of this horse right now, man.
on the other end of the spectrum, though, is where we run into our Star Wars Battlefront 2 issue. So Star Wars Battlefront 2 has loot
The 09
boxes.
release or the...
Yes, the 09 release. No, the
They went
2017.
back in time.
So
and
now
added
I
loot
don't.
boxes.
I personally don't have firsthand experience with the game, so I'll probably be handing this off to Zach in a second. But essentially, my understanding of the loot boxes in Battlefront 2 is that they drop gameplay upgrades. So if you want to have better grenades, that's something that shows up. If you want your fighters to do more damage while you're in them,
Okay, but
that's
let's,
an option.
Let's make
So-
it very specific here, though. It's not like oh, you throw one grenade, you throw two. It's nothing like
It's nothing crazy.
It's nothing crazy. It's literally like
over-exaggerated.
0.1, 0.2% or points more.
Sure.
And
Is this
so,
stuff stackable? Can it add up over time
So
to be game
I
changing?
have a response to that, but let's make sure that we cover the basis first. Zach,
Okay.
do you want to talk about your loot box experience in Star Wars Battlefront 2?
Yeah.
09 or 27?
Stop it.
Oh, definitely nice. No, I mean, so far, like, because obviously they disabled purchasing loot boxes,
Right.
But overall,
But you still get them though, right?
you still
Through the
get
course
them.
of gameplay.
But my loot box experience in Battlefront was awesome, and I only played up to level 10.
We're getting off track here. Okay, hang on.
but explain it to us, yeah.
But basically, you can level up, you get loot boxes, and then you get all this stuff, but all the powers, all the abilities, all these extra power-ups and stuff you get, they don't blow the game, like, out of proportion. They don't make you super powerful. They don't give you a giant advantage. But beyond that, I didn't level up any further. So I don't know how it plays. I don't know if you get repetitive loot boxes once you earn everything. I don't know if it ends up being worth it, or if purchasing, loot boxes once you get higher level, if that gives you an advantage. So
From what I heard, and they changed this, but from what I heard is that to unlock some of the heroes that they have in game, you have to literally play for an ungodly amount of hours, or just happen to unlock them from loot boxes.
I mean,
I have that number actually. 4,000 hours of gameplay to unlock everything.
Yeah.
4,000. To put that into perspective,
Not buying loot crates.
not buying loot crates. Entirely free to play would take you 4,000 hours. I've been playing League of Legends for 6 years, 5 years, something like that. And like every day, just about. There are stretches of time where I've gone without playing as much, but like every day, there are sometimes like 10 to 12 games a day for stretches of my life. And I have 1,500 hours into League.
Yeah.
So
Some people
unless
don't even
you
have
are
4,000 in World of
no lifing a game for multiple years, you're not going to get to that 4,000 hour mark. And when did Battlefront 1 release?
2009.
No.
Oh, 1?
Yeah, like the one that just released, right? In the last few years.
Oh, the newest. The
newest,
newer
yeah.
one. Like 2 years ago.
So if we have Star Wars Battlefront 1 by EA that released in 2015, I guess, or 2016, something like that. It wasn't 3, I can tell you that much.
You're talking about the newest one?
The newest one that isn't...
It was 2 years ago. I know that for sure.
So, and then you have this one that just released now. I mean, it is absolutely reasonable to assume that given EA's business model, in 2 years we'll have Battlefront 3.
What's their business
Even
model?
3.
They
release
like money? Or...
They do like money.
Yeah.
Well, but they have these franchises, and they'll release a new game in the franchise every 2 or 3 years, right? And this is, I mean, a lot of companies do this. It makes sense.
But
It's an effective business model, and honestly, I don't even blame them that much for it. So, I guess my counterpoint though to you were talking about how it didn't blow the game out of proportion.
no,
didn't
it did.
feel
There
like.
was nothing extreme about it.
So, my understanding is that people's concern is not how much it blows the game out of proportion, it's that it blows the game out of proportion at all.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's there is what frustrates people.
So if someone decided they wanted to spend $2,000 day one and buy everything, that person now simply is better.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And some of the numbers, when you look at how those upgrades stack up, there are like full 100% increases in damage on some things. Right? And this is just it's not giving you more options for gameplay. It's not like, here, have a cool jetpack because that seems fun, right? It's like literally just do what you're doing, but you're going to do it better now because you happen to have rolled the right thing on a loot box.
Yep.
And
the
that's
RNG was with you.
right. And that's
Oh,
that's
a
a
6 Star Wars
Nicely
reference.
done,
Thank
sir.
you. That was totally
I think it was
unintentional.
unintentional.
Yeah, it was totally
So-
unintentional.
it's I think that where that comes into play the most though, right? Because pay to win has been a thing in mobile games for a long time, and on certain free to play MMOs too, for free to play with pay to win mechanics. It all comes down to what is the gaming experience being sold as, right? And for first person shooter gaming, the vast majority of first person shooters are at least purportedly balanced.
Yeah.
So if you load up,
try to be, yeah.
They try to be, right? Everyone has the same options. Yeah. It's not, my account is not imbalanced to yours. If I'm playing a worse loadout than you are, that's my bad for choosing a bad loadout.
Yeah.
Not just having a worse account.
Yeah.
And so when you have a game that suddenly takes that away, like if I don't have my 20% grenade damage upgrade, my tools are just not as good as yours. Mm-hmm. And I don't get anything for that. Yeah. It's not like I got 20% grenade damage increase for, a reduction in speed by 5%.
So, I mean...
that's the concern there that at least I have. But I also come from, the League of Legends background of a game that, like, has gone out of its way to make itself, like, an esport, right? It's supposed to be balanced enough that people feel good about playing the game competitively. Is Battlefront 2 trying to do that? I don't know.
No.
But, yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say no right now.
They're trying to entertain Star Wars fans.
I'm sure everyone who makes that kind of game has the intention of, we could make this an esports game. Because it could be, but it's like, I don't know. It's crappy. I mean, they do things in other games, and I will go back to League.
So
they have the runes and stuff.
Well, they did.
They did.
Yeah, that just changed, and that's actually another thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
So maybe we'll use that as a segue.
The one thing I have to say on esports, though, is I think the idea of third person and corner peeking completely eliminates that.
I mean, PUBG's esports ready, so...
Esports ready. The meme.
The meme.
Have you seen the bugs on the most recent test server? I saw a guy vault out of a window and get teleported halfway across the map.
That game is hilarious.
Yeah.
That game is awesome. You haven't played a lot of PUBG, Zach, but...
Yeah, PUBG, for all the memes, it is actually, like, assuming that all the bugs get fixed... If there were no bugs in the game and if it was optimized well, it would be esports ready. Right? Because it has the gameplay mechanics in place that make it a balanced enough experience for everyone.
Everyone makes it a joke because they've already run 2 international tournaments for PUBG. And it's still in early access.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the memes come from.
So yeah, so
esports ready.
Anyway, so the loot boxes. The other thing is that even if you're not looking at an esports game, I would hate to sit down and play a game and just feel like I'm outmatched by someone because they've been playing longer.
Because they have more money than you.
Or because they have more money than me, right? Like, I don't know, it feels bad to go into a game and know that everyone I'm playing against, like, actually just, not even because of their mechanics, but simply, like, their character is better. Mm-hmm. That feels worse. Like, that feels bad.
It feels crappy, yeah.
And I'm less inclined to play a game that is doing that.
You guys think in the long run it'll be a self-correcting issue?
No.
We're already seeing player backlash. We're already seeing
political
backlash.
So let's talk about that then.
Do you think that will be enough to drive this kind of approach to game making back out of the market?
Context.
Before we
context.
talk about it, I'm going to say no.
For people who haven't been following along, player backlash. Obviously, this is a big deal. Players like to feel that they're being treated fairly. Yeah. And pay to win is a thing that shows up in enough games people are aware of that gamers are sensitive to it. They see something, they say, oh, that's pay to win. If someone has more money, they do better at the game than I do. And that sucks. Gamers don't like that because gamers don't earn as much money as some people do. Because they spend all their time gaming.
Horrible generalization.
Awful.
Yeah.
That hurts, man.
But, I mean, you have gamers that are high schoolers that don't have the opportunity to earn that money. And they would like to feel that their time is valued by, playing this game. And it's not if someone is just better because they happen to have a part-time job instead of school. Given that, gamers are sensitive to that. So anything that even resembles pay to win, people get up in arms about. And League of Legends get this on occasion, right?
I mean,
because you have to buy champions with in-game money. You can spend real money to get champions. Now, in League of Legends, I would argue that to a certain extent, up to a certain point, I guess it's a little bit pay to win, but when you get to the part of the game where people actually care, when you get to the point where you can play ranked, it shouldn't matter anymore. Because you can't even play ranked until you own 20 plus champions, because
they want you to actually,
right,
instead of just buying into
so
it.
At the point at which the game says this is where competitive integrity starts, pay to win doesn't matter anymore. Now, we were talking about runes before. League of Legends used to have a system where you would have to set up a rune page, and it's basically customizing a champion's stats to fit your liking, which is not a bad thing at all, except that you had to buy the runes you'd want to be able to use. Once you had a rune, you could use it on any page at all, but they were basically a necessity to getting into the game. Once again, you probably would be set to go once you get to that ranked step. Once they said, all right, we can let you play ranked now, you should have enough of everything to be able to go, but you're not going to have access to some sort of the niche picks unless you went out of your way to get that. Now, League of Legends just removed that system, in part, I think, because it was kind of unfair that way. There was this money sink that was just, it was a disadvantage if you hadn't invested in it. And so they wiped it and replaced it with a system that is equal for everyone to use.
What if you were invested in it? What happened to your stuff?
You got money back.
Oh.
That's what I was just about to ask.
I got so much free stuff.
Nice.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah,
I got
I think 3 free skins. I got an immense amount of the in-game money back that I'd put into the system. So yeah, it's something that they kept track of, and they said, okay, this would suck to have invested all of this time and money, and because that subsystem existed for 6 years, and so
you actually had to spend money on it. You couldn't buy it with regular,
and that you couldn't buy that with real money, and so the argument that it was pay to win, basically, it relied on the argument that you could pay real money to get champions, so that then you could spend your in-game money on the runes, which holds up until the person behind catches up on runes, in which case it doesn't really matter anymore. And it's just that catch-up point happens about when you're able to play ranked anyway. Mm-hmm. So,
and they're complicated.
So League sits in kind of a weird middle ground, but they decided to fix that. Now, that being said, they still have loot boxes. There are still, you get free champion skins from some things. They have a whole new reward system that I don't totally understand, but is it
the loot crate thing?
It's more loot crate stuff.
The
thing is, and this is where League of Legends also kind of gets a pass, almost everything in the game that comes in these loot crates, you can just buy with whatever resource the game has you pay for them. So the champions, you can just buy them with your in-game resource, or real money. The skins, you can just buy most of those. Mm-hmm. Some of them are limited edition, and some of them only come out certain times of year. There's a set of Chinese historical skins that come out Lunar New Year every year, and so they'll have those come back out of the vault, is what they call it. Overwatch, I don't know. You can pay for specific skins in Overwatch
with the in-game currency that you get from
loot boxes.
Yeah, you're still.
Yeah, you still, regardless, you still have to buy it. But the thing is that here's how this, and this is why, for someone who's put a lot of money into loot crates from Overwatch, I never had an experience where I was upset that I was spending money on it.
Right.
And here's why. Because everything that you get in Overwatch is absolutely 100% completely cosmetic. There's no game-changing anything whatsoever. It is literally just skins to be skins.
And if you get repeats of skins, or if you get a skin you don't
get
want,
gold.
You can toss it and get gold.
No, you don't toss it. You just get gold.
If it's a duplicate,
you just get gold for it, which you can use to buy things that you specifically want.
Okay.
So that's the one thing. I think that's why I had no problem with Overwatch.
Yeah, and Overwatch, from a gamer's perspective, Overwatch's loot boxes are close to perfect. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it'd be nice to be able to get exactly the skin that you want slightly easier, but, I mean, you're still getting free loot boxes all the time. From an outsider's perspective, this is an interesting sticking point, and I don't fully know how I feel about it, but Overwatch's loot boxes are, outside of gaming, about as bad as EA's are, actually, when it comes down to it.
Can you pay cash for them? Real money?
Yes,
For
you can.
Overwatch's loot boxes?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
the only way you can get them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I lied. Sorry.
I thought they
You
were-
also get
I was not paying attention. You can get them, so you can also get them through doing certain game modes and leveling up.
Yeah.
So, let me
So
just,
you do
but,
not need to spend money on
So
them.
the outside perspective here that I'm talking about specifically
Thanks
is
for
is
clarifying.
how it resembles gambling, right? And I think that your average gamer would probably look at Overwatch's loot boxes and say, this isn't gambling. This is just, it's free skins, right? Or skins that you paid for. In
Take
which
it or
case, I
leave it.
suppose you're gambling for it. But from a scientific perspective,
Going
Whoa, damn,
Right,
we're getting
right.
scientific.
what Overwatch does is it offers you, essentially, it's a variable reward system. So you don't do a thing and get a specific thing as a reward. You don't finish a quest and get a particular skin. You don't do it's you get this loot box, however you got this loot box, and then you hope that you get the thing that you want. And if you don't, whatever, you still got something, and that's cool. But
Yeah.
you want that new thing.
That-
now, I don't understand the
it
full
entices
science.
you to buy more.
Right. I don't understand the full science of how it works. I know that it is one way to take advantage of human psychology, or I'm using the wrong word here. It's one way to take advantage of human behavior to promote gambling. It's something that casinos do in certain sets. So, what's it called? Slot machines. You have variable rewards in a slot machine.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get more money. Sometimes you get less money. Sometimes you don't get any money at all. But it's preying on that behavior, and that the problem that some people have is that you're exposing children to this sort of exploitative mechanic in
And
games. That is something that I think I agree.
but we're talking about the outward viewpoint on loot boxes,
Right.
And what the media and everybody else thinks of loot boxes, but you're not
Right.
thinking from
But he's right.
Well, see, but that's the
yeah.
thing. If you're listening to our podcast, you're probably a gamer, and so you probably already kind of have your own opinion on which loot boxes are okay and which loot boxes aren't. Right? Most gamers are going to say Overwatch is cool. Most gamers are going to say that Battlefront 2 is not, and some people will have different feelings on how League of Legends does things. Right?
Yep.
And I think that's great, and there are lots of places for us to talk about that. But I think that what people miss, right, and I missed this at the beginning of the conversation before I took a step back and was like, okay, how is this working? It's all gambling.
Yeah.
All of it is in from that perspective, right? And
But we don't see it like
I
that.
say that right now. I don't think it's nearly as cut and dry as that, but coming at it from an outside perspective, the way that it functions is probably not something that you want to expose a kid to.
Yeah.
Because now you have a child who has not had the chance to sort of steel themselves against this kind of thing,
Behavior, yeah.
who is now being exposed to gambling.
Yeah.
And that is something specifically that I think it's absolutely reasonable to want to combat the sort of explosive growth of loot boxes in the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Brittin,
Yeah.
you're a parent.
Yeah.
I was curious about what your take on that is on
Well-
loot boxes and kids.
Yeah,
Do you
you're
really
an
think
old
this
man.
centers around kids? Like the crux of the outrage?
No, but it
political
is a
arguments, the
concern,
societal
and that
arguments.
specific concern
Yeah.
is something
Because
that
it does.
comes up
There's a
from the
rating on these
political-
games, and it's probably at least teen on most of the ones we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So technically speaking, these games are not intended for children to begin with.
Sure.
And
so
10
then-
times out of 10, parental involvement in what kids are playing and how they're playing it is going to solve all of these problems. Instead of relying on ratings boards and government institutions
I
to do
suppose
that
that's
for
true.
us.
Yeah.
Although I guess I would say, maybe in this case, sort of a logical end conclusion, whether you get rid of loot boxes or not from a government perspective, is just say, hey, maybe these should be rated more, skewed more heavily towards the top end of things, right? If a game has loot boxes in it, that be very clear on the labeling, and maybe it's, maybe you don't change it.
It's like a cigarette warning
but
almost.
like a T with a
Exactly.
little
Warning.
asterisk, by the way, this has loot boxes, which are kind of like gambling.
Right.
And
I mean, apps
because
on
more
phones
of
have
a-
had that forever. It's like this app may contain more in-app
Right.
or will contain more in-app purchases.
yeah.
And we're kind of, it's funny to even have this conversation. We've been conditioned to expect that from apps for such a long time now. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me that it's seeping its way in a big way all of a sudden into mainstream gaming on consoles is such a huge conversation because apps have been doing it and preying on people this very way for such a long time.
The dumbest thing is that the reason people are so upset about it is because you're combining free-to-play monetization with a $60 game. That's the reason that it initially got that boost, I think, is that people are like, I already paid $60 for my game. Why are you locking the content behind another $2,000?
It's been a progression. We've had DLC forever. Mm-hmm. We've had season passes, which ask for another $40, $50 day one for unknown content that's to come down the road. So I guess it has been a progression. It's just like there's been a perfect storm this year of a few games and a few very egregious examples of how DLC loot boxes
that's where it definitely got its traction, was gamers being upset that now not only are they looking at $60 for a game, and not only have they been told to pay for season passes and DLC and whatever else, now you finally have outright pay-to-win microtransactions in a $60 AAA release game.
I have a question. Will Battlefront 2 have season pass? Will it have DLC? Will it have map updates?
Hang on,
let's take a brief tangent.
Let me explain this.
I'm doing it again. Dang
it!
EA...
Scotty, this is the show today, okay?
EA said with Battlefront 2 that they were not going to do season pass. They were not going to do all this stuff. Because, and this, I don't know that this is something that they said right away, but I think that the reason for that is that they were planning on replacing that monetization with the loot box system.
Interesting.
You guessed it!
And so
if this pays for free content for players that are not taking advantage of paying money out of pocket for, in-game content that may be game-changing, may not, maybe it's a net benefit for some players.
Sure, and you know what? If it would have been an Overwatch system where they had just released a whole bunch of cool skins, then I think that the average gamer would have said, oh, well, I guess it sucks that I don't get as many cool skins, but I still get the game for free. But it wasn't.
It'd be nice if one of us could authoritatively say this is how it affects the game in end game when you've played hundreds of hours of this game.
Yeah.
Is it dramatic? Is it game changing? I don't know. None of us had that experience.
The numbers I saw early on, it really was pretty dramatically different. Like we're talking 50% or bigger bonuses on various different stats, various different types of damage, things like that. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Definitely game changing.
That being said, I like to say that a lot.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
It's your catchphrase.
It is my catchphrase.
Lean into it.
I lost my train of thought now because I was thinking about that.
Just say that being said a few times.
No, I say it before so many things.
Let's end it here because we've been talking about it for over 25 minutes.
There's
now.
so much more to say, Scotty.
Just to let you know.
That was part one. Tune in next week.
Exactly. That is where this conversation has gone. Final thoughts. People who sell games and make us pay for content that's locked behind a paywall, you're douchebags. Okay, moving on.
Wait. Can I kind of say... Do you have another topic in mind? Can I seg from that into something else?
Absolutely know exactly what I want to talk about next.
Just give me a couple minutes.
Okay.
I just want to talk about the effect this might have on...
Look at Zach. He's getting annoyed too.
Game development going forward. Is this going to change the way big developers...
No.
AAA development...
I'm saying no right now.
Decides how they want to go into creating a game going forward.
Why would they?
I think just specific aspects of it. It's the monetization thing, right? How do you make the most money out of a game? That's all. That's the approach you come at when you're a big enough company.
Here's a $60 game. Enjoy it. Just dead at this point.
Yes. Oh yeah. From a AAA perspective, for sure.
Because, that is absolutely not true. I'm throwing down Odyssey.
There's been some massive counterexamples to that this year, Dan.
Okay, Nintendo doesn't count.
Why doesn't Nintendo count?
Because Nintendo always does things differently. Okay, Nintendo counts, sure. So it's not going to change how Nintendo approaches all of this because it's Nintendo.
Video games, dude.
But you have EA, right?
Can we think of any examples outside of Nintendo this year that fly in the face of this mentality? How about Wolfenstein 2? People, I think...
Who was that made by?
It's id, Bethesda.
Okay.
people generally have...
Bethesda has paid mods the company. Like, let's not forget
How about Doom from last year?
Uh-huh.
Well-received game.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it has a lot of paid content to add on to it, and it was a $60 game and it did well, and it made them money. Companies are trying to justify this by saying development costs are just through the roof, and in order to sustain making games, we have to not just charge a $60 price tag, we need to charge the consumer beyond that. And that mentality, I think, is going to destroy the industry from within.
I think it's going to destroy the top end of the industry.
Which is great.
That's
Please put the fidget spinners down.
I don't think it's going to destroy the whole industry, right? Because you have a point. Nintendo has taken a different approach, right? You have
Legend of Zelda,
they've
right? proven that it's totally plausible to make money off a $60 release, and maybe some good DLC that's appropriately priced.
I'm talking. So can I?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm talking specifically.
Yeah, sorry. We don't want to interrupt you, Dan. We don't want to interrupt you
because I'm a stronger conversationalist.
I see.
Stronger asshole.
I'm talking specifically about EA. I'm talking specifically about Ubisoft. I'm talking specifically about Activision.
I'm talking about Dan.
The biggest companies in the system, the ones that have time and time again all shown, let's see, how can we figure out how to make more money out of this game? And that's how these companies have approached these things. I think that this is going to have to impact how they approach it, not necessarily in a way that's going to improve things for us as the consumer, but at the very least, we're going to see them take a more careful approach to loot boxes. We'll see another iteration of this next year or the year after that is going to be slightly more acceptable, and we'll probably accept it as a gaming culture or whatever, because it wasn't as bad as Battlefront 2.
Hey, Dan.
But we've had such an indie game explosion over the last several years, right?
Dan.
So,
hey, Dan.
There's things like Nintendo.
I'm answering Brittin's question.
Like indie games that will undermine this, which will always be there, and I'm thankful for that.
And that, I think it's important to pay attention to that.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Is that there are other aspects of gaming that are going to make up for this, as long as you're willing to go.
The funny thing is, all they're doing is making games the way games have always been made. Why is it such a crazy concept?
Hey guys, let's open this conversation to a 4-person conversation.
No, it's just me and Brittin.
Okay, yeah, continue, sorry.
Really
hey Zach, how you doing?
Hey Dan.
Yeah?
So all I can say is that EA is evil, and they didn't need to do what they're doing. I don't know why they didn't just go...
You can't spell evil without EA.
I don't know why they didn't just go pay DLC. The same thing that people have been doing for, 8-10 years, what?
I guess it's just the desire to try something new and potentially make more than they were making with the previous model.
A little bit selfish, but...
It's super selfish.
I don't know that I'd go so far as to say evil, but yeah, they're a company and they're more... at least it seems that in this case, they're more focused on how do we make more money rather than how to create the best gaming experience.
And just from 2 weeks with the video game, they didn't need to make it paid or, to give anybody paid advantages, and that everything would have been okay if they just went and paid DLC.
They just wanted to.
But. Well, I guess I'm going to go back to what you said right near the beginning of the podcast when we talked about...
I don't remember that long ago.
What was your experience playing Battlefront 2? And you mentioned you had fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun game. I assumed that it was made plenty well enough to be an enjoyable experience to play. So you mentioned you enjoyed the loot box stuff because you got to pull cool stuff out of a loot box. So that is fun, right?
To basically emphasize it, I got a week and a half after it came out. So people already put probably tons of hours into it. There's already people with Darth Vader running around, and I know he was locked. I don't know what it takes to get him, but people already have him.
Like $80 or something. I don't actually know.
But when I jumped in and started playing, I didn't feel like I was at a disadvantage. I felt like I was doing really well, and I had fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. But you also suck.
Interesting anecdote.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's
what you got, Scotty?
I think now is a good time to finally move on to Scott's new topic. He's been uncomfortable with this.
I've been chomping at the bit for this one, and this one is definitely for Brittin.
What you got?
What do you feel about Super Mario cereal?
Oh gosh.
It's gonna have marshmallows.
That's the thing. It's literally Lucky Charms.
That's not the remarkable part of this.
Yeah,
there's been Nintendo cereal before. Yeah. Back in the 80s, I ate Nintendo cereal.
And that's how it all started.
That's how it all started. I was going to say, now it all makes...
Here's what's different. These are amiibo.
Yeah,
the newest amiibo is a cereal box.
Yeah.
Wait,
so apparently
the cereal
We're going to be
box?
pre-ordering cereal. We're going to be lining up at 2 a.m. at Safeway to buy our cereal as they open the cases. I look forward to it. This is going to be fun.
The hunt is on.
So wait. So there's actually in the box.
There's an amiibo card. It's a card.
No.
Okay.
The box itself has a chip in it. You're scanning the entire box.
So you can put the box on the little pedestal.
The chip is built into the box. A card would make too much sense and not be nearly.
Do you get to play as the box?
It's nothing like that.
We don't know.
No, we do. Somebody already got one. Somebody already scanned one.
Oh, of course.
In Super Mario Odyssey, to use that as an example, it does the typical thing of it'll reveal the location of a power moon that you have not found yet. It doesn't even recognize it as a unique amiibo, because generally when you scan an amiibo, it'll say, oh look, it's a Bowser amiibo. Bowser's going to go out and find you a power moon, come back in 5 minutes. Check with me then, we'll find you one. In this case, it just uses the generic terminology. Oh, this is a good old lovely amiibo or something like that. You would have to have scanned them in the game to know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But yeah, it just recognizes it as a generic amiibo. So I don't know if it's going to have any implications in other games beyond that. It's just funny that the newest form factor for an amiibo is a cereal box.
It does nothing.
So Power Moons in Odyssey. And it's a different...
I have 100 amiibos, 100 plus in my room right now that I've used.
$1,500 worth of amiibos.
Scotty, you are the exception to the rule, I gotta tell you.
Why would it
Most people will probably have a small collection of amiibo.
They don't want to spend $15, they just want to spend $2.
Yeah, $3 on a box of cereal. Maybe somebody doesn't have any amiibo, but they want to scan some of their games.
$2 boxes of cereal?
I'm dead serious.
Does it say Nintendo on the box?
Literally, it's an officially licensed Nintendo product. These things will be going on eBay for $50 to $100.
I don't think so. They're gonna make plenty.
Dude, I wish I could do a Mario voice right now.
I love the sentiment. I think it's fun.
You think I'm wrong?
I think we could walk into Safeway in a week
Lucky
or so and grab one.
I don't think
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.
They're in the wild.
Oh.
People have already gotten their hands on them.
Wow.
Maybe they're in test markets.
Man, it's the real question. The real question.
Yeah.
How's it gonna taste?
It's some kind of puffed
Charms.
berry cereal.
So like something between Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops, which is to
That's what
say,
it sounds like.
is to say probably pretty gross.
It's like it's really dry kicks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to get some, but yeah, it's probably not.
I hope I get the chance to try some just to say that I did.
I hope they make sweet commercials to go on with it.
Your kids eat all your cereal.
That'd be
Awesome.
Yeah.
What else has been going on?
That's it? You just had the cereal talk?
That's all I wanted.
You seem so excited to segue
into
something.
I was mostly excited to interrupt Dan with his riveting Battlefront conversation.
Dude, it is interesting.
Riveting.
It really is interesting.
It is, and it could go on for
was
days.
at one point interesting, yes. True.
I can talk about Pokemon a little bit. Yeah.
God.
So Pokemon came out.
A little bit is like 5 minutes.
It is actually a little bit. Okay. So, Brittin here has played Pokemon in the past. And
Yellow and Blue,
Gen 1, Gen 6, that's it.
In contrast to myself, Brittin is not a huge Pokemon fan.
No.
Scott also plays some Pokemon on occasion, kind of like I do.
On occasion.
To put it mildly.
So, Brittin was asking, should I get Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon?
Yes.
Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. And of course, I would say yes anyway.
Having skipped Sun and Moon last year, just because it kind of looked like more of the same to me, which
so
Pokemon generally
this
does.
time around, one of the interesting things that came up, just this one specific thing. There's other stuff too, but I wanted to talk about the Totem Pokemon. So if you haven't played Sun and Moon,
that's not. Okay.
So Totem Pokemon were introduced in Sun and Moon, right? And it's the replacement for gym challenges. Is that you have these especially large, especially strong Pokemon of some type, and then they can call allies. It's an SOS mechanic is what they call it. And so you have one Pokemon in there, and they're fighting this Totem Pokemon, and the Totem Pokemon is like, hey, come on and come help. So in Sun and Moon, I remember that was the case, and the Totem Pokemon were a little bit bigger and stronger, but that was, it's whatever, because I never make that game harder for myself, and they weren't very difficult to beat.
They weren't.
This time around, Scott, I don't know how far you've gotten.
I've gotten far enough.
Okay. So on the second island,
I haven't gotten that far.
Okay. Do you mind a minor spoiler for a battle?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, the grass totem. The Lurantis, I think, is the Pokemon that is the totem Pokemon. It shows up, and it's strong, and it hits hard. It's, threatening and all that. I'm like, okay, well, sweet. I have flying stuff. I have fire stuff. I'm good to go. And so then it's like, all right, I'm going to call in my ally. I'm going to call in a Kecleon, right? Which, if you don't know Pokemon, it's a chameleon. Anyway, then Kecleon was like, all right, I'm going to use Sunny Day, which is... okay, that's a little bit worrisome. And then Lurantis decides to use a move that normally takes a turn to charge up, but because Sunny Day has been used, doesn't need to charge up. Solar Beam! Only it's the physical version of it, so Solar Blade, I think is what it's called.
Oh, dang, what?
Yeah. So, and then it nearly wipes the Pokemon that I had out. Next time around, right, and I bring out my flying Pokemon, because I'm like, all right, I got this. Flying is strong against grass. It's not going to have an issue. Mm-hmm. And then its ally Pokemon uses a Rock-type move and one-shots it. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, cool, that sucks, but I got more Pokemon. Let's chip this thing down. Yeah. It uses Synthesis, which in Sunny Day is 75% of its health healed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. For the first time in a Pokemon game, maybe ever, with a possible exception of Whitney in Gen 2 with the Miltank that has rollout.
So specific.
With a possible exception of that...
Everyone knows.
Okay.
With a possible exception of that battle, it was the first time that I had to go out of my way to prepare for what I was going up
against.
This
is pretty early on in the game, it sounds like?
I mean, we're talking the equivalent of, I think, Gym 4.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, level 30.
So the AI's good. Is that what it's about? Is that what
I don't know that the AI is any better than it has been, but what Nintendo has done is they've taken these boss battles and made them thoughtfully. So they're not too bad if you are prepared for it. And if you go out of your way to be like, I know how I'm going to approach this, and I know what I'm going to have to do. So for me, it ended up being, I had to have a Pokemon of the right type with the right moves, that could tank a couple really important hits. Mm-hmm. And I only just got it to the right level to be able to do that. It took a hit and survived with like 4 HP. Was able to come in and finish off the main Pokemon before it was able to heal itself. Mm-hmm. There are other battles that are tougher for other people. The water one was another one that was actually pretty tough for me, but I made it work. I know some of my friends had to go through that multiple times to make it work.
Does this game have an easy mode like a lot of Nintendo games do lately?
The game is
easy. It is easy mode. Its self-imposed challenges can make it more difficult. Yeah. I'm essentially playing the game on easy mode. No, Nuzlocke would be near impossible your first time through this game.
Huh. The game is, and all Pokemon games are designed like this, is that they're not meant to have a difficulty. It's just literally it scales to wherever you're at. Okay. So you get to a certain part, and then it just starts scaling up from there.
Yeah. You and I have had conversations about how Pokemon games could be made more difficult that weren't just, here's some higher level Pokemon.
Right.
Because just doing that, it just means that you have to grind more, which is not fun.
Yep.
Yeah. I've gotten through most of this game without grinding, but I did have to grind a little bit for that Totem Pokemon specifically, just because when I came in, the team that I had wasn't going to beat it. Mm-hmm. I needed to be a few levels higher. Mm-hmm. And
that's in the spirit of, here's a new gym, here's how it works. I need to figure out how to take on this challenge.
Here's Miltank. Sucks to suck.
Yeah, so that was the aspect I wanted to talk about, that, from where I'm at, because I haven't finished the game yet.
Yeah.
It was a more interesting experience, I think.
If I didn't know that a new Pokemon, which by all accounts should be a reinvention to some extent of this series, was coming to Switch soon-ish, I may consider jumping on board here. But knowing that that's coming, and knowing that this is
how did I just know
not that grand reinvention,
well, then
it's probably not the right time.
Okay,
the argument that I would have then, to cap this discussion off for now, is that yes, there's a new Pokemon coming to the Switch.
We don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. More importantly, this one, it seems like the way they made this game and the way that some of the post-game content is structured, this kind of is supposed to be the end of the series on the DS. And the game reminds you of that. And it's like, hey, have this
Here's
experience.
everything.
Here's everything.
Yeah, they
Here's
literally
everything that you
give
could
you
have had.
everything.
Yeah. You have the opportunity to catch most, if not all, of the legendaries throughout all of the Pokemon game history.
Mm-hmm.
You get to do some cool stuff
Dope
with
battles.
other teams or with other games, evil teams.
No spoilers, but yeah.
Yeah, that was in trailers.
No, I guess you're right. I don't watch trailers.
Do you not?
I try not to.
Okay.
Anyway, let's it's a good game. I'm excited for the Switch. Let's see where it goes.
Also, the Switch one's probably like 2 years away.
Yeah,
Let's be real. It's not coming out next year.
Gotta see what 2018 looks like.
Let's pass this over to Zachariah.
Yeah. Zach's been looking up some topics, I think.
Oh, you guys are dead wrong. I've been on Facebook.
Oh, okay, cool.
What's new on Facebook?
How's Facebook?
What are your friends up to?
Do you play Farmville? Sorry, Farmville 2.
Actually, if you guys really want to know, have you guys ever been asked to smile? Because that's a big topic.
Smile?
For a picture, yeah, of course.
No, just in general. Have people told you?
Smile, Brittin.
Oh,
have people
like
told
a
you to
command?
smile? And is that right? Should people tell other people to smile when they don't have to?
No, it's dumb.
It depends on the context, but in general, no. I don't want to be told what to do. I mean,
you can't tell me what to do.
No.
You're not my mom.
No, I mean, I've been trying to find more information about Epic trying to sue the 14-year-old cheater.
That's okay, but that is very specific because they're not just. There just happens to be one kid who is involved in this lawsuit, but it's not just a 14-year-old kid.
all right, so what?
You explain it.
Okay,
give me the situation because I don't know.
So apparently the 14-year-old had a gaming channel where he was making videos about a cheating guide for Epic's game Fortnite, and Epic filed a DMCA against him to take down the video. He sent a counterclaim, and then they began to sue the 14-year-old. People think that Epic didn't know that he was 14, and legally they are not allowed to sue a minor. So they actually have to sue the mother, but they're currently battling it out.
But it's not just this one kid; it's multiple people.
Multiple people, but I haven't read up on other people because this is the biggest one. It's a 14-year-old, not a 25-year-old.
But it's kind of funny though. Like you can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you can tell when bigger companies get a little too overzealous, I want to say. And this kind of goes back, not really goes back, but goes kind of in the same depth of big companies want to sue just to get more money.
So I've heard interesting things about that.
Because PUBG has had cheaters for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them stream. Mm-hmm. And they're not getting sued.
Yeah, what happened to banning accounts, banning IPs?
But you know what it is that legal departments are different than game development departments.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's Elder Scrolls. I think Bethesda ran into this, actually. Bethesda's lawyers went after Mojang, actually.
For naming a game Scrolls.
Yeah. And now, I don't remember how that all got sorted out, but it got
dropped.
It got sorted out of court.
Yeah.
But it was... And that was something Bethesda came out and said, hey, or someone did anyway, or maybe it was even Mojang.
People
I don't
had
remember.
a cow
But essentially, it was that Bethesda's legal department was going through things the way they thought made sense, and they just, for whatever reason, did not have the context on that to figure out that like they shouldn't have.
It made them look like
way.
douchebags,
right?
Essentially,
and I think that I bet you anyway that's often the case. So like, why has PlayerUnknown's Battleground, why has Bluehole not been suing people who are streaming? Probably because they don't have a big legal department to handle that stuff yet.
Fair enough, yeah.
It's a really new company.
But I just feel like...
It's a mobile company.
Alright, so who developed PUBG?
Bluehole.
Bluehole? So, I mean, PUBG, we all know, is huge. Like,
it's a little big, yeah.
Yeah.
Millions of players, right?
But it's exploded. It got very popular very fast.
But you can say it's definitely bigger than Fortnite.
Yeah.
And then Epic, I mean, it has been around, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
times.
Fortnite being new. And I think with them copying PUBG, basically,
I mean,
right off the bat with the Battle Royale.
Well, that mode is but I thought that Fortnite was developed independently. That was
it was, but I mean, the reason why it's popular, or as popular now, is because of the Battle Royale mode. Mm-hmm. But I think with the popularity of the game and them pushing it and wanting to protect the game as much as they can, they become aggressive.
It could be.
Epic Games or Bluehole?
Epic.
Oh, okay.
Epic. And they even said that...
I don't agree.
They even said that they'll go to the furthest extent to protect their game, or not, that's not a quote, but to protect it and basically sue anybody.
If they want to protect their game, just ban their IP. Why sue someone? Like, it doesn't... I understand what they're doing, but legally they don't really have a right to do it.
Yeah, I think
cheats aren't illegal.
I think they said that they'll go to any extent.
And I think that's poor on their part. I think they should ban IPs.
Suing someone, you don't sue someone because they did something illegal. You sue someone because they did something that you think unfairly affects you in some way.
But it doesn't affect them at all.
Cheats?
Yeah, it doesn't affect Epic Games. It affects the community.
Which affects Epic Games.
It affects the quality of the product.
So PUBG,
yes.
right? One of the things right now is that cheaters are rampant, right? Maybe not as rampant as people make it out to be sometimes, but I've been playing the game for 2 months, a month, something like that. And I've been in multiple games with cheaters, with hackers.
Same.
But
I've played a lot of games where there's not. A lot.
And so with PUBG, if the hacker problem, if the cheating problem never gets solved, if that's something that just grows in size, I would eventually stop playing.
Yeah.
Because I have Fortnite as an option. I could go to Fortnite and play a Battle Royale game that wasn't loaded with cheaters, right? And in a year, I bet you there's going to be another 2 or 3 fairly well-made games that have Battle Royale modes. Yeah. Maybe they're not as fun as PUBG, but I'll have the genre available to me at that point, and I won't have to play PUBG. So a game being overrun with cheaters and scripters and whatnot is kind of a problem. On top of that...
I'm not saying it's not a problem.
On top of that, every single game that you ever download that's made from any company that has any amount of clout and foresight and whatever has cheaters. Terms and conditions.
Oh, yeah.
And in terms and conditions, across the board, you agree not to cheat. You agree not to mess around with the game code and do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And that right there...
legally binds you.
It's not legally binding exactly, but it is certainly enough to open you up to getting sued.
You're signing a contract, of course. It's
because you're signing a contract.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I think
I get what you're saying. I think it is kind of unreasonable for Epic to be suing people for streaming cheats on the game, but at the same time, I do understand why they're doing it.
I mean, same, but it's like, come on,
I think it comes down
like such a huge company.
It is big.
They're scapegoats. They think if they take care of a couple and it becomes highly publicized, that it'll deter other people from doing it.
But they didn't expect to sue a 14-year-old. Apparently,
well, sometimes you shoot poorly.
Yeah, that's so true. So true.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that count that suing a 14-year-old knowingly or unknowingly is.
It makes people probably want to cheat more.
Make some bad calls, I guess.
A couple. Okay, we got about 8 minutes left. We'll say 7 minutes. Do we have anything short that we can talk about?
Hey, speaking of PUBG, do you guys hear it's coming to mobile in China?
I hate you.
It's straight up coming to cell phone, mobile devices in China. Yeah.
What is China? Where is China at in like the technology spectrum? Like clearly, there's something there that we don't know about.
I recently saw a review on what was it called? It was a phone.
Razer.
No, it was the
Razer.
It's an HTC.
No, Razer's making a phone.
They made and it's out.
Is it out now?
It's out. Yeah.
When's BlackBerry coming back?
I don't know. But like Razer, we're talking the keyboard or whatever. They're not a keyboard.
Oh, that Razer.
The gaming peripherals. They made a gaming phone. Like it's got RAM in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I learned about this yesterday.
Does it have buttons though?
120 hertz refresh rate.
Mm-hmm.
OLED screen. Dual front-facing speakers. 4,000 megahertz battery.
That actually sounds pretty dope.
6 inches.
What would you do with it?
Exactly.
So my iPhone 10.
Quick charging thing that will charge it 75% an hour. What else?
Most phones do that.
It doesn't have a headphone jack. But it has a...
Is this sponsored by Apple?
Attachable. Oh, yeah.
So is this going to cost $1,000 like the
600
X? Really?
600?
$600.
Yeah, Apple tax.
But
real,
it's only available with Verizon and AT&T because of the network.
Well, then you might as well pay $1,200.
We don't really have games on mobile in the United States.
You have Pocket Camp.
that would necessitate something like that.
I really hate that game.
Or is this a product of China?
Razer?
Well, I mean, those games do exist.
Yeah,
you go find.
Can you give me an example?
Infinity War.
What is that?
Yeah,
a shooter?
No, it's like a, think of it like Dark Souls.
Ooh,
but
Soul.
They get like Dark Souls, but it's kind of like a path-based game. So you fight a boss, you move to the next path. You fight a boss, move to the next path. Every time you die, you're dead, and then a new generation starts.
That sounds like
character.
Infinity Blade.
That's the one I'm looking for.
Infinity Blade.
Yeah, that one.
I played the heck out of that.
Yeah,
that ran on the iPhone 3.
It did.
Okay, I'm talking about games that would necessitate a phone like what.
I know, but what I was saying
here.
is, what if they made a game like that was like Dark Souls on the phone?
It still needs buttons and sticks.
There would be buttons
always
on the
be
screen.
The barrier.
And I mean, there's also it's worth considering that
at Costco? It's a little controller for your phone.
Yeah,
yeah.
We actually
have you not seen that?
There's actual Bluetooth controllers that you can buy too. They're actual full size.
The thing is, it's always an extra thing you're carrying around, and that's why it never has really caught on.
Do you want to wait with the phone 7 minutes
with the phone thing?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Just let it go.
Part of it is that mobile developers have been making games for phone for a long time, right?
Sure.
Some of them are actually pretty well made, right? Like I played Summoner's War for a while, right? And,
There's a reason they make way
I looked
more
at that and
money
was like, this is just some janky old free to play, pay to win phone game, whatever. And I played it and. It was really well done, and it was actually enjoyable to play.
I enjoyed it too.
Right? And so, clearly there's a market there for actual fun games on the phone. It's just that no one's... Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. It feels like no one's investing in it, but it's probably because I'm just not paying attention.
Could be.
So I bet you that there are games out there that will take advantage of all of that.
We're all pretty
and two,
well
that there will be
established.
within a year if there aren't.
We're gamers.
You think here,
that's
though?
the thing.
We're gamers, and we should know about these games if they're out there.
So we talked about this earlier. Mobile gaming and like console and PC gaming are two different worlds.
Here, we'll ask Zach. Zach, you're okay. We'll consider you a gamer, but you're not like as intense to games as if you look around my room.
I'm pretty basic, dude.
Yeah, you are a pretty basic person. Look at you with your hoodie
basic
and your Tacoma shirt.
And your good look.
Why don't you just not wear a shirt like me?
Oh, all right.
Would you consider mobile gaming a gaming outlet? Would you consider quote unquote gaming?
No.
Okay.
No. If you're looking at how much money it makes, you better consider it.
Yeah, but that's also because any 5-year-old.
Yeah, but Fred Meyer sells billions of dollars in groceries a year. It doesn't make a difference.
No one knows what Fred Meyer's is. It's literally just a Washington thing. I'm dead serious.
They're owned by the Kroger.
It's a local grocery store.
That is a Northwest thing, guys. That is like that is Washington and Oregon. For the rest of you out there, you have whatever else. I don't know. But you're not getting Mario cereal, so joke's on you. I don't actually know.
I might go to Fred Meyer and get my box of Mario.
I think, I don't know if we have enough time for the full discussion, but I think
about Mario cereal?
About mobile gaming and how it is or isn't gaming in the ways that we as,
It's a valid market, no matter what you have to say about it.
No, absolutely not. Are you kidding? I could talk about anything for like half an hour.
We know.
Yeah.
You literally witnessed it today.
Yeah.
Twice in a row.
Yeah, twice in a row.
I'm going to have to deliberately skip one of these days just so I don't walk over the conversation.
That's all you do. This is why you're here.
I can't stop myself. I'm sorry.
I love how the beginning of your conversation started with you saying something about EA, and then towards the end of it, you're like, hey, I literally just thought about it what I didn't think about like 30 minutes ago. But hey, kids like gambling in video games, clearly.
Kids like gambling. That's the big takeaway.
That's absolutely exactly what I said.
Yeah, we know.
Not a misrepresentation.
That's what we'll title this. Episode 2, Kids Like Gambling.
Kids like gambling. Before we do end, I just want to apologize. We're still trying to get the whole scheduling thing down, and it's also Thanksgiving and Christmas time. Turns out, Costco's really busy that time of year.
What does Costco have to do with anything?
They don't even know we work there.
What about?
I said, what does Costco have to do with anything? Why would you even bring up that big faceless corporation?
Sorry, hang on. Let me pause for a second. Wait for it. Edit. The company we work for is really busy during the holiday season. Who would have known, okay? Just saying.
Shocking.
I know.
We'll get it together
crazy.
one of these months, maybe years.
One of these years we'll get together.
I'm gonna honestly just blame all this on Brittin. It's mostly his fault.
Hey, why are we here today, you guys?
To talk.
To talk about video games. Oh, you mean like who got us together?
Yeah, that.
Literally, it's something we always have planned. You just happen to be the first person to say.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
So, anyway, thank you guys so much for actually give it 20 seconds.
Don't listen to us ever again.
Can someone say something for 10 seconds?
Why?
5 seconds.
I don't.
Dan, you talking
What exactly?
enough.
I mean, I
Stop.
can talk about a lot of things.
We're trying to fill an hour.
Whatever. I'm here. Listen to us again, maybe someday.
Go to my
Yeah,
website,
cool.
zachroth.com.
There you go.
Check
Go
out
to
my
our
work.
website. I'm Scott. We have Brittin,
See ya.
Dan, and Zach.
Later.
Thank you guys so much for
Later.
listening again.
Comment,
See you
like,
next time.
subscribe.
Goodbye. See you next
Subscribe.
time. Goodbye. See you next
Subscribe.
time. Goodbye.